In our last lecture, we will take a look at the issues of technology and ethics.
So far, we've looked at 3 different cases using 3 different techniques: reasoning by analogy, utilitarian analysis, and deontological analysis. So now we're going to take a look at another method called the paramedic method. Now, here's the idea behind it. So let's say you get really sick and you need an ambulance. You have paramedics coming in to help you out. They're not necessarily medical doctors, but they know quite a bit on how to help people. They may not know all the details, but they know who to ask when they're not certain about a particular case. So the idea here is we want you to be able to recognize particular ethical questions regarding computing and reasoning carefully about the answers to those questions. So we know some things, but we should be able to ask questions to get more information. So when you recognize an ethical problem, we think there are several important questions that you can ask concerning it. So one question is, who are the stakeholders in the situation? Next question would be, what does each stakeholder have to gain or lose? So this is the utilitarian step. And then what are the duties and responsibilities in this situation that are important to the stakeholders? So this is the deontological step. And then the next question would be, can you think of an analogous situation that doesn't involve computing? And if so, does that situation clarify this situation that does involve computing? So this is the reasoning by analogy. And then the last thing is really a question, a bit more of a step. So you can either make a decision or just revisit the above steps. Now, with all this said, I want to make something very clear, more of a disclaimer. Unlike the formal algorithms that we've studied before, this paramedic method is not a step-by-step solution method. It's not guaranteed to produce a result and then halt. Instead, it's more of an outline to help guide you in a productive dialectic. And this may be just within yourself or may be involved with a debate with other people, but either way, we want you to think carefully and move toward a better understanding of the problem and toward better ethical solutions. We'll now discuss our 4th case study, which involves genetic information and medical research. For this case study, we'll explore a fictional case that involves genetic information. We're going to end up using the paramedic method to examine this case from several different perspectives. So let's say you're at your family doctor for a routine checkup, and the doctor asks you to participate in a study of genetic diversity and disease by donating some of your skin cells for the study. Now, the doctor does inform you that your skin cells will be identified only by a randomly assigned number and your zip code. So the question is, should you participate in the study by donating your cells? We can now apply the paramedic method. So the first question to ask is, who are the stakeholders? Obviously, you're going to be a stakeholder, and your doctor is a stakeholder. Are these the only two? Probably not, unless your doctor is doing the research by himself or herself, which is highly unlikely. So when you ask about it, the doctor will tell you that there is a pharmaceutical company who is sponsoring the research, and they hope to use this information gathered from around the country to identify genetic links to several diseases, where some of these diseases could be fatal. So this means now that you have 3 more stakeholders in here. So you have the pharmaceutical company itself, and for now we're just going to call this PharmCo as for our purposes. There's also the skin cell donors all over the country who are going to participate in this study, now that you know you're not the only one involved. And then also the people who have these genetic diseases. So if there is a cure for it, then these people are going to have a stake in it. There may be other stakeholders, but this list is long enough for now. Next, we need to ask what each stakeholder might gain or lose from our decision. So let's suppose we say yes, and we decide to donate our skin cells. Well, we're going to undergo some sort of procedure and lose a few cells. Our doctor will participate more fully in the study. PharmCo will get a larger database and may be able to develop new drugs for this. And if the drugs are successful, then people with diseases may have new therapies. Now, if we say no to the donation, then our doctor, PharmCo, and patients will have a slightly smaller chance of success with the research. Now, after getting the answers to these questions, This may lead to additional questions. So there are some other things we could ask. For instance, is the procedure dangerous? So let's just say the doctor tells you that the procedure is very harmless, and all we need to do is just scrape a tongue depressor lightly against your arm to get the skin cells. So that doesn't seem to be too much of an issue. But another question that's worth asking is, how is your genetic information going to be stored and processed? One way that this can be done is to assign a randomly generated number for each donor in the study, and perhaps linked to the information that your doctor already has, such as your social security number, name, zip code, and so forth. And the doctor has assured you that the random number and the zip code will be associated with the genetic sample and the information that's derived from it. Now, if we believe that the doctor will be in good faith and send only that information to PharmCo, should we be confident that our privacy is ensured? And the answer to this is probably not. I mean, if there is a table that has all this information, then PharmCo could potentially link the information it receives from your doctor back to you by gaining access to that table. Or at the very least, PharmCo could get the names of and addresses of all the people who donated cells. So we can't really assume that we're going to have complete privacy. I mean, it's possible, but it's not guaranteed. We also have to consider that this is going to be sent to PharmCo somehow. So we should be asking, is our information going to be sent electronically to PharmCo or to anyone else? Because we know a little bit about networks. We've talked about it before. And if so, will that information be encrypted? Because we have also talked before about how it's going to be very easy to intercept network connections, and we do not want our information to be sent to just anybody or anyone to be able to just intercept that stuff. So we should be asking if it's encrypted. We should also be asking questions like, will the information be password protected? And then a final question that's worth asking involves finances. So, I mean, presumably, PharmCo plans to make a profit from the drugs that they create out of this. So a question worth asking is anyone being paid for this research? And let's assume that the doctor is being paid a small fee for collecting samples. Let's say $5 for each patient who donates cells. So PharmCo is paying for all the collection kits and for all the analysis. And because PharmCo is paying for the research, the information collected and any information developed will belong to PharmCo.